Technology and the Early Development of Values, a research project by Jessica Smith. When discussing this topic, a lot of interesting words come to mind. But to narrow down this wide spectrum, I've come up with the following question. What effects does modern technology have on the development of values at a young age? With all the different types of technology available to students nowadays, it's interesting to wonder about how this might affect them in many different ways, but more importantly, how it might affect their development into responsible adults. So why is this important to me? Well, I've had a long-term interest in the ways which we acquire our values. Through the study of the media's role in this, though, I noticed some pretty negative aspects. Since the media and technology often go hand in hand, I wanted to further investigate if simply using technology as a child could be harmful to developing a positive value set. As an upcoming teacher, I'm curious to see how this might affect my future practice. So to start, I examined a variety of completed studies that had been conducted based on this topic. They outlined the different roles of technology in a child's life, each with a specific focus. But how is doing this helpful? Well, it truly expanded my knowledge of the subject, making me realize that it was more complex than I'd previously thought. Also, the study of scholarly articles and books offered some very credible information that I knew I could trust. And finally, it gave me a starting point for what I was to do next, my own study. So after completing my TCPS2 core certification, I was ready to begin my study. I created 2 online surveys through the Google Drive Forms app. Both were completed by Calgary residents. One was for Mount Royal University students, with a focus on Bachelor of Education students, and the other was for CBE classroom teachers. Lastly, I conducted an interview with Stephen Clark, the Technology Learning Leader at Chris Ackerman School in Calgary, Alberta. The organization and analysis of this data seemed a bit overwhelming at first. I began by considering if I'd discovered any new information other than what I'd previously studied. Then I sought out the most interesting information I'd collected. After a bit of thinking, I narrowed it down to the most useful information I'd encountered. The people that I surveyed and interviewed had a lot to share with me about their experiences with and opinions on the use of technology and the development of values in young students. Here are some of the key findings of my study. With technology comes positive and negative messages. When I asked Mount Royal students how often they encountered positive messages while using technology, their answer was encouraging. Nearly 50% of them encountered a positive message 3 or 4 times a day. When I saw how often they encountered negative messages, though, I was slightly discouraged. 26% of people said they encountered negative messages 5 or 6 times a day, as opposed to 8% with positive ones. And 8% said they encountered negative messages 7 or more times a day, as opposed to 5% with positive ones. This negativity continued as I discovered that cyberbullying is all too common. When I asked Mount Royal students if they'd ever been bullied through a social media site, text message, or email, 54% of them said they had. Having experienced this myself, it was interesting to see just how often it actually happens. Another one of my findings was that technology use in the classroom is very common. When I asked CBE teachers how often they incorporate different technologies into classroom instruction or activities, every respondent said they used it, with 38% saying they used it twice a day. My last finding was that teachers play an important role in the positive use of technology. When I asked Stephen Clark about how teachers can encourage the development of positive values in students through the use of technology, he said that modeling and teaching them to use it in a positive way are precisely how teachers can do this. So what does all of this mean anyways? Well, clearly there are benefits as well as detriments to technology use in the classroom. Fortunately, the positives are more than capable of outshining the negatives. To achieve this, though, teachers must help their students. So as teachers and future teachers, what can we do about this? Well, as most of us know, being a positive role model can encourage students to act in a more positive way. As well, being open to discuss the meaning of digital citizenship and the effects of cyberbullying with students can make them more aware of how to be a better user of technology. And finally, teachers should encourage students to share positive messages while using technology. This is a fun way to prove that happiness is infectious.
Woke up this morning to hear the news that the people finally got tired of being used. They looked in the mirror to see the numbers on their heads, and it didn't seem right. They couldn't afford the sheets on their beds.